Good evening, everyone. My name is LaTonya Ward. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I serve as the Maryland State Social Action Coordinator. Tonight, we are here to chat with our community champion, Delegate Alonzo Washington, to discuss some legislation that he introduced in this past legislative session, 2021 Maryland General Assembly. Tonight, you will learn about child mental health bill and how it was designed to help our students in the school system as they went through the COVID experience and learning distance learning. And with us will join Delegate Washington.
Hey, good evening. Good to see you, Ms. Ward.
Good evening. Really quickly, I totally got off script. I was so excited to have you come on with us. So I'm just going to give the audience a little bit of background about yourself. You are a member of the House of Delegates and became a member December 19th, 2012. So you've been a member for quite some time. You've served on many committees. Currently the Ways and Means Committee, you're vice chair, the Joint Committee on Children, Youth, and Families, Joint Committee on Federal Relations, and Joint Committee on Management and Public Funds. And this is really good to know. You're also the co-chair of the Police Reform Task Force. So a lot of great work has been done there, and we appreciate your service in those areas. Thank you, sir. A little bit about yourself. You were born in Washington, D.C. So you are a DMV resident. You attended Laurel High School. And you have a bachelor's from the University of Maryland, College Park in Criminal Justice and Criminology. And I also see here that you are a member of the Divine Nine, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So we welcome you.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be with my sisters in Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and excited to start this conversation. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some thoughts on the General Assembly in this last legislative session. So thank you for the introduction. It was great.
Absolutely, sir. And we appreciate your service and everything that you do for the community and for the state of Maryland. So let's just jump in. We had a very busy legislative session, continuing to work. Despite the pandemic, you all, when I say you all, your colleagues in both the House and the Senate, passed an impressive number of bills, or I should say you introduced and passed an impressive number of bills in a 90-day time frame. So I'm just giving a little bit of context to why, what we're talking about and how difficult, getting legislation through can be. So congratulations for all your work in the State House. And just really quickly, I just want to say that the General Assembly starts in January and ends in April. So during that time, the Senate introduced 967 bills, and the House introduced 1,380 bills. And of those 2,347 bills, only 817 passed. So a lot of work happened during that time in those 90 days. So, it's really a testament to how hard you all work for the community, how hard you work for District 22. That's the district that you serve in Prince George's County. And, we just want to give the constituents, context on what you do and how hard you work to get those things passed. So we're here to discuss your bill, HB 461, Public School Student Attendance, Excused Absences for Mental Health Needs. Can you briefly, give us a high-level overview of what the bill is?
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, again, thank you. That was a great synopsis of our 90-day legislative session. We only get 90 days. That's it. And we do have to consider so many different bills that come before that are introduced in front of the House and the Senate. And one of those bills was a bill that I introduced, which was House Bill 461, which really looked at how can we make sure that our students have an opportunity to breathe, decompress, and take a day off from school, where they can have their mental health day that we typically get, as adults. We know that our students right now the mental health issues have been exacerbated by this pandemic, by COVID-19, and they're sitting at home in front of a computer just like this for nearly 8 hours a day. And we know our students just need a break sometimes. And we're not talking about one day a week or anything like that. We're talking about something that if a student really needs some supports and help, they'll be able to take a day off for excuse mental health today. Similar to what we do for when you get sick every day. When someone gets sick or have a cold, they can take a day off. In our society, we do not treat mental health the same as we treat our physical health. And that's what this bill aims to elevate the conversation about mental health, but also make sure we put both physical health and mental health on the same playing field.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. And I do, I can attest to that. I am the mom of a teen, and he, it's nice getting nice outside. And he's like, Mom, I'm going outside. I just got to get some fresh air. So, that sitting in front of the computer all day and having to concentrate on sometimes things you just don't want to do, you can feel, caged in and overwhelmed. So I think, and then sometimes I think teens and our youth don't always exhibit when they need to decompress. That, like you said, that when they're sick, like that you can physically see that, but then it comes to that mental aspect. It's a little bit harder to figure out exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So
and also, we haven't had that it's hard to have that conversation with your parents about your mental well-being. That's in our society has not been typical of having that conversation about how you're doing. How are you really doing, right? We always ask, how you feeling? Is your body okay? You seem like you're limping, but you can't tell when your mind is limping, right? Like it's important that we make sure that, again, we elevate the conversation of mental health and mental health awareness.
Absolutely. So this is going to lead into my next question. What particularly interested you about this issue, child mental health? And it's two parts. And why did you feel that this legislation was necessary? You kind of alluded to that in your, introduction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, this, look, 17% of Maryland students seriously consider suicide. That's not a number I'm making up. That's based on a CDC. That is roughly 1 out of every 6 of our children who are having to go into the classroom carrying this immense mental health, this immense emotional burden. And we want to make sure that our students have an outlet for that, can talk to someone, can take a day off. And why I feel like it's necessary, and that's part of the reason why I feel like it's necessary, because we know that our students are seriously considering suicide, and it is important for students who suffer from mental illness to understand that these conditions are in fact very common. We believe that sometimes they aren't common, but between 10 to 15% of all young people are suffering from depressive symptoms at any one time, according to the CDC, and that's just something that we have to take seriously. If we don't, we're going to see the effects of not seeking help for mental health illnesses or mental health diseases, or even mental health issue that you might have during that day or during that time. And we want to prevent those things from happening.
Okay. Excellent. So I did a little research. There are just 2 other states in the country that have similar legislation, Utah and Oregon, that they were able to get signed into law in their states. How did Maryland match up with those states and, your legislation that you introduced? So can you tell us a little bit about that in comparison to the 2 other states who were, able to get that passed?
Yeah, those other two states is how we modeled the legislation, based on the research that we've done, just like you. And, we felt like, we saw in Maryland that, again, we do not take mental health seriously. We have a lack of psychologists and psychiatrists in our schools. We have a lack of behavioral health specialists in our schools, and we just don't stack up. And we don't stack up in comparison to other states and how they are taking mental health issues seriously. So Utah and the other state that has this, we want to make sure that we are in alignment. But also we're providing those resources. So within the bill that went over to the Senate, we added some provisions in there that if you do take a mental health day, you actually are going to be seen by a psychologist or psychiatrist just to check in with you. Nothing serious, just a brief check-in to make sure everything's okay. Just to be able to open that door, open that dialogue. So the bill did change. The issue that we had in Maryland is that the Senate of Maryland didn't take this issue seriously, if I'm being honest. And it is our jobs also to educate them and let them know, look, this is a serious issue. You need to see it. I'm going to find a cross file next year when I propose this bill again, because I'm not going to give up, because I think it's worthwhile. It's something that we should be doing for our students because they deserve it. And because we need to equate it to actual physical health too. So until we commit, we have to convince the Senate, we have to get them up and be able to believe in this and why this is so important for our students.
So you really just touched on my next question, which is what do you think we need to do in Maryland to pass future legislation? You just mentioned that you're not going to give up, even though it did not survive this General Assembly. So what is it go ahead.
Yeah, can I just say this? Look,
Sure.
the bill passed unanimously out of the House of Delegates, out of the Ways and Means Committee, which is 23 people, is Republicans and Democrats, all voted for this bill. Okay. When we got to the floor of the House, all close to 141 people voted unanimously for this bill, saying that this is important, our students deserve it. And in the Senate, they made a mockery of mental health, essentially, with this bill. And if you go back and review what they were saying about this bill in their voting sessions, you'll be taken aback. And unfortunately, we have to educate them because they don't understand the reasons why we're doing this, and we need to make sure that they're doing everything they can to make this bill a law.
Okay, so it sounds like that we definitely need to have that grassroots going and to have, like you said, to start the conversation and have it bubble up from the bottom up and continue it. So let me see. This also is by. We're kind of walking right along. You hit one of my next questions about.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm sorry.
So no. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. So it's good to know that you will champion similar legislation next session and provide a companion bill will be introduced in the Senate like this past General Assembly. So that's very good to know. And I think that people need to understand, like, just because the bill did not survive, it didn't get passed in the Senate, that you do intend to carry forward your goal, take it all the way to the end, get the touchdown, to get it passed in both chambers and hopefully to the governor's desk. So that's really good to know, and that you need your constituents to keep their legislators to their feet to the fire on why this is important. What could they? What are some of the things that they could do? I mean, and I'm skipping one of my questions, but the legislative session has adjourned. The school year is winding down, and it looks like we may be heading towards schools going back to being in person. And so a lot of moving parts are happening, in homes and communities. You guys are out. What are we to do in the meantime to continue advocating for this legislation?
No, I have a lot of things you can do. There should be no stone left unturned to pass this piece of legislation. What you can do is specifically talk to your senator, call them, demand that they get on the call because they work for you. Too many times elected officials feel like you work for them and you deserve their respect and they should have your respect. But it's the other way around. I work for my constituents. If my constituents say they want something like a mental health day for our students in order for them to be excellent at their work in the school during the school day, I'm going to introduce legislation like that. So I encourage you, one, to contact your senator, make sure that you have a phone call with them, continue to push your state delegate, make sure they know. You can contact the governor. Maybe he might introduce a similar bill too, because sometimes he likes to steal legislation. But I encourage you to make those phone calls. Don't be shy. Have meetings like this. A meeting like this is extremely important because it gets out the awareness of a piece of legislation like this. And maybe we'll have some people sign up next year when the bill is reintroduced for the public hearing, to sign up for the public hearing and speak on behalf of the legislation. And that's going to be really necessary when we get to the Senate to have 10, 20 people to make sure that they are speaking to this issue and why we really need it.
Excellent. Those are all great tips, and definitely some I have employed myself. I did write to my delegate. I believe I wrote to the chair of the committee and the Senate to express the importance of the bill. So I did try to do my part.
No, you did. You actually look. I feel like during this virtual session, I feel like you came to session. I feel like we already met, although we only met virtually. So you talked to me about the piece of legislation. You've been doing your work. So I appreciate that. Not everybody gets up and actually does this because they sometimes talking to elected officials is intimidating to some folks. And we're regular people just like everybody else. We're just as regular. We have jobs just like you have. We have to go to a grocery store every day. We drive our regular cars like everyone else.
Delegate Washington, I'm just going to tell you, I have the same thought process that you work for me. My tax dollars pays your salary. So
correct.
You are employed by,
the state of Maryland.
The state of Maryland. So why shouldn't I have the opportunity to talk to you when I need to talk to you about something that could, affect my child's everyday life? So again, I just thought that it was extremely important. And you're absolutely correct to get the people out, socially act. It's social. We get out and do other things together, but you have to put the action behind it and keep pushing forward. So.
I'm glad you said social because that reminds me of social media. It's as simple as following your legislator on social media and tagging them to it, saying, "Hey, I want this bill passed. Hey, can you pass this piece of legislation? Hey, I care about mental health. This bill is really important to me. My student is suffering in school and having to go to school every single day. If they're not sick, maybe they need a break and they don't have an excused absence for it. That can hurt that student. And so, just tagging them to it, telling them your story through social media is also a vehicle that a lot of legislators look at too. No one wants to look bad.
I definitely encourage my sorority sisters to definitely advocate through storytelling. And it's very powerful when you can attach a personal experience to something. It resonates a lot wider. It resonates a little bit more when, hey, this is something that I'm dealing with, or my friend or my family member. And this is, if you support this legislation, it would help me in this way. And I think that we have to get better at storytelling because everyone has a story. Everyone has some very impactful things to share and discuss, and it not feel like you're being, you're intrusive in telling your business, but, you're giving people a view into what you need. And again, it's your legislator. You're paying for them to make it better, whatever it is. And so I think that changing the narrative, like you said, changing the thought process of you're entitled to meeting with your elected official, that scheduling those meetings are so vital and important to the process, and you have to do it early and often. Whether it's just checking in with their office and in an email. And like you said, using social media, that's such a powerful tool, but if you use it in the right way, maybe tagging an article, which is actually how I found out about this particular bill. As I saw it in a news article, I was like, hey, let me post it. And then
That's
it just
awesome.
kind of, it just kind of went from there. So, not really
Yeah.
knowing that it was going to blossom into this, but that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
Look, I don't know if I've ever been on the news so much with this bill. I mean, this bill has really taken I mean, people love this idea. Students want it, parents want it, everybody wanted this piece of legislation, and we got such great reception from Baltimore City. I was on the radio in Baltimore City talking about this legislation, about how important it is to talk about mental health between the parents and the students, and this forces that conversation, especially within the Black community, where we always told, boy, my mom used to always say, boy, ain't nothing wrong with you, man, get to school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, you ain't limping, are you? Or get to school, so,
You're not
it's
bleeding.
you're not
You're,
bleeding, right?
yeah.
And so, we don't take it seriously when our student comes by and says, hey, I need a break. I need some time off. So it becomes very difficult to have those conversations if we don't force it. If we don't make sure that there's an opportunity for that, not force it. If we need to create more opportunities to have those types of discussions, and I'm looking forward to next year when we can have this dialogue again and press forward, because I think it's going to make a significant impact.
Absolutely. So I'm just taking a quick little look over here to our comments, and for those who are watching, if you have any questions for Delegate Washington, please feel free to post them in the StreamYard chat, and then we can discuss them. So really, you just kind of hit the last of my questions. Well, from a social action perspective, how should we go about keeping the subject of mental health, at the forefront in our everyday conversation in the community? And you really just kind of touched on that, how difficult it is for us to, Black and brown, the Black and brown community to talk about their mental health. And it's like you said, that's just taboo for us. Even, now in this day and time, 2021, it's still taboo. We don't want to talk about our feelings. We don't want to talk about, we're not having a good day, or, feel weak, either in the family or, at work, or our friends, or whatever the case may be. It's just something that's still so very taboo.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, what we're going to do is, we're going to send out, we're going to have a couple op-eds, if people want to write opinionated pieces in the Washington Post or Baltimore Sun, or your local newspaper, just to keep getting the word out and keep on posting about it and how important this is and how we need to pass this legislation. We just got to keep the conversation going. We cannot let up. And this is something that I truly believe in. And I think we're going to find a way to get done.
Absolutely. Well, I believe in it too. And definitely, I think we just gave a lot of great nuggets on how to advocate, how legislation gets passed and what it takes and who is required. It's the people. We need you all out there to join in the fight. It just can't be one or two people, or,
And let me say this also. I say this to a lot of different Divine Nines. If your organization comes to Annapolis and has a presence in Annapolis, like I've seen other organizations like the AKAs, like the Qs, like the Sigmas.
We do. Yes, we do. It's called Blue and White Night. Yes, we do.
There we go. Exactly. And Blue and White Night that comes up, like when you get, and so having this organization actually, endorse a piece of legislation, people take it seriously, because when you guys come, like, oh, is that the Blue and White organization? Oh, well, I love the way they carry. I like what they stand for, and I'm going to vote for something like that. And it's also about building relationships with legislators to get it done, because as you continue to make your mark coming up to Annapolis and showing your awareness of how policy becomes legislation, it's important that you continue to build those relationships and come to Annapolis. And, you know, Zeta Phi Beta has a strong voice, and we want to make sure that legislators know that what you care about, they should care about.
Absolutely. Well, COVID had other plans for us this year, but definitely
I know, right?
we're hoping to definitely have our face in the place in 2022. So,
Absolutely.
Well, Delegate Washington, that concludes all of my questions. I don't really see any comments, just that the discussion was really important and the legislation is much needed. So we do have a constituency out there that does believe in what you are standing for and, you know, what you put forth in this General Assembly. So I think it will be good to say to look for us in the next assembly.
Thank you. Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you. Look, I will be disappointed if I don't see you there, Ms. Ward. So, I look forward to seeing you, and I appreciate that even you guys consider me a champion. You know, this is I'm excited. You know, I'm you know, empowered by this opportunity to be able to speak to this organization, and I'm glad you guys have my back because I have yours too. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Delegate Washington, for all the hard work that you're doing, and we do appreciate, you know, everything that you're doing for the community, and we definitely appreciate the thanks. So with that, we're going to conclude our champion chat for tonight. Maybe this will be an ongoing conversation for other legislation in the future. So be on the lookout. So until then, everyone, thank you for joining us, and we all wish you a very good evening.